Welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast. And Ryan, I was right.
Yes, you were. What's up, guys? Let's just shout out. Joe is just really good at
I got the
predicting and
predictions.
is very aware of I wouldn't say the narrative of the game, but where the game flow of the game really goes, which is why Joe needs to be on Survivor because I feel like he'd be a great strategic threat and
Yeah.
social in the sense of I think everyone will love you. Uh,
Yeah, or I'm one of the first three boots and I don't really get a chance to play.
I doubt that.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But anyways, yeah, last week I said that we're most likely losing Ryan and James if they get separated.
Yeah,
And it ended up
lo and
actually
behold.
going out just like that. Um,
Yeah.
and when I saw a few days before the episode came out, the 30-second promo, they showed the teams getting split up, and that made me even like more confidence that my prediction was going to be correct.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because what I like about when they do split up this, I guess with Modern Survivor, it is at 10, 10 or 11, or wait, for Ghost Island, was it like 8 or 9 or 8 or 10 that they did that?
I think it's 10.
Yeah, usually it's around 10 and whatnot. And what I like about it is it does kind of help prevent pagongings as well as it really disrupts everyone game and they kind of have to think in the moment and
Mhm.
see how that affects things afterwards, which I feel like this episode or this season they really thought about the repercussions this time around.
Mhm.
Because you know when it came to the almost said Bessie tribe, when it came to the Cody tribe and everything, it kind of hinged on what the other team did. And
Mhm.
they even said this and then they were like, okay, well, if we get rid of Ryan, will that make Carla mad? Or, oh, if we get rid of Cassidy, will that make Carla mad? It's
Yeah.
Carla was
What?
a big focal point this episode.
Yeah, well, it was also Carla and James because they didn't know James was went home yet, so they were really like not sure if the plan would go if there's two of them. But the fact that James, I think, is over there made it more clear, like, okay, we can make this move because Carla, she did lose a lot of heavy
A lot of,
pieces in this
yeah.
episode. I don't think it's impossible for her to salvage and get back into this. Like, I don't think that that's
I
impossible at
highly
all. Um,
that wasn't even a thought that came into my mind. Yeah, she
yeah.
lost her number one. However, she still has an idol. And the thing is, people are getting wise to the threat level of Cody and Jesse.
Yeah.
You see that a little bit in the promo. And I was on Facebook the other night, and some people were kind of comparing Jesse and Cody to Dom and Wendell in the sense of they're playing a very dominant game in
Mhm.
this phase of the game. Because if you look at it, now that Ryan is gone, and granted, there's always been kind of Ryan only won one challenge. And so
He-
far, there hasn't been someone that's won two challenges all in a row. Oh no. I'm starting to sound like James a little bit.
yeah,
Um, with
got some vocal fry going on there.
yeah, I will talk about James's voice in a sec, but um, yeah, it is a thing where Cody has come at least up until this episode in second place in all the individual competitions.
Mhm.
So he is a threat when it comes to that. So he can, you know, get himself further in the game by winning immunities. Whether or not he's able to maintain that, it's up in the air. But getting rid of someone like Ryan, who won a challenge and has shown his worth,
Has Ryan won a challenge?
he won immunity the first time.
Did he? Because like didn't
No, wait,
Gabe?
not it was Gabler,
It
then it
was
was Ryan.
no, it was Gabler. Then it was Owen. Now it's Cody and Carla. Ryan has yet to win immunity. He's
No,
actually he
because
has
I think Ryan won one because like Gabler,
no he
there's
has
been
not.
3 episodes up until this point.
It was here I can pull it up. I'm like pretty positive Ryan has yet to win. Yeah. Oh yeah, he won the Ellie the oh wait no, but that wasn't even elimination. That wasn't an individual immunity. That was
Oh, my
team.
bad.
Yeah, that was team based individual immunity.
Okay, so like
So
my
so
bad. That
technically he has yet to win an individual immunity and has
well now he never will.
yeah.
But he was basically a meat shield. Whether whether or not. He was like a meat shield. And you know, he I feel like with, him gone and stuff, that is one less physical threat that they have to worry about.
Mhm. Yeah.
Also, I don't know, like even though like with Ryan, his gameplay was very, especially since Geo left, has been very focused on getting rid of Cassidy.
Yeah. I feel like the fact that Geo goes loses any chance of Ryan being able to have a chance of playing any strategic say in anything. Like I think that was his best chance in this game to have been able to actually do something. I think when it became now just him and all he knew what to do was to win challenges and fish. Like if you were a modern day survivor player and you are going out there and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna fish, and they're gonna keep me around because I'm a fish. I'm gonna get them all these fish. That is not what modern day Survivor players
Is
care
about.
about. So yeah, that's
No,
not.
I feel like the thing is because one of the things when Cody and Jesse were discussing on who to get rid of, they did weigh out the pros and cons of each. And, they did say it's like, hey, yeah, Ryan's not a, strategic or social threat. Cassidy is. And so, like, they knew, it was one or the other. But, it was basically A, who got voted out in the tribe before, and B, who is more of a threat moving forward. Um, and it just kind of landed on Ryan, even though if he really wanted to weaken Carla, I don't know. It is interesting to see where like the night dynamics shift after episodes like these because like there is usually a shift and then it's like okay so where do we go from here because if they got rid of Cassidy that means Carla loses 2 of her Coco members that she was like really close with. And then, like I know like Sammy really wants to work with Carla. Everyone kind of wants to work with Carla,
Mhm.
but I think people are starting to be like because at 8 through like 6 we start to get to the oh wait phase where it's like okay, this person may win. We might have to get rid of them now. It's
Mhm.
like the
Yeah.
awakening of like the threats. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, we got to
it
get rid of this
it's
person.
usually around final eight, especially in this new era where the
Yeah.
biggest threat or the person who everyone is perceiving as the biggest threats like go kind of like back to back. Like it's almost like it's just like okay, who's the biggest threat? That person's going this time.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
Now,
which
I am definitely curious because right now the three biggest threats in this game all have idols, and are very
that
well
is something
connected
good.
to other people as well. So it's like we're probably going to see a good chance of kind of like a Jesse and Cody versus Carla like war almost of like sides that are going to come out here. I don't know if that's going to happen this next episode, but I think it will probably
And
happen at the very least the episode after that.
I think it's gonna start happening next episode. Mostly because, there's only 8 people left. If we look at people's, let's say, threat equity, not threat level, um, Jesse, big threat. We got Carla, really big threat, but people don't suspect it. But everyone wants to work with Carla. So
Yeah.
like that makes her a really big threat. But if everyone wants to work with Carla, that's she has like an easier way to get to the end. So
Mhm.
like we'll see how that plays out. I think Carla may be in the best position to win this game. We have Cody. pretty big threat.
Mhm.
If not on the same level as Jesse. I think the thing that kind of like boosts Jesse up a bit more is he has an idol that no one knows about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and then
Cody's big strength, I think, is just trying to get to the final three because I think he's just gonna be the likable person who can just talk his way into winning a final three against a lot of people.
using that sales trick.
Exactly.
We got Sammy, and I'm just going down your list and then my list.
Mhm.
We are even at 4-4, which is
Mhm.
like kind of fun because usually at this point I'm like crying because I don't get anyone. Uh, so we have Sammy who is playing a pretty solid game.
Mhm.
I feel like he's like he needs a few more moves under his belt, but like he's playing a pretty decent game. We got Owen who I can see kind of like the formation of an underdog thing. I
Mhm.
feel like it hasn't been fully realized yet. I feel like this episode half a step in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. It felt I will say didn't really like Owen's look this episode.
Yeah,
Uh, Regardless of like what the reasoning is, whenever you fight against someone who is going to then be on the jury, like
yeah,
he's clearly lost James's votes. Like there's no way he gets the end and get James's vote now. And I
no.
know it's like just one vote, but like he also made it became a public thing.
It's
Like it
one out of
was
three.
yeah,
I mean, it's one out of three. If it doesn't go to you, it goes to someone else. You need at least four to win.
yeah,
Three to like tie everything if everyone gets three. A number that isn't for you is a number for someone else
yeah,
when it
yeah.
comes to so
Yeah, and
that makes sense.
there's still so much game left in the fact that you've already basically just screwed yourself out of one potential vote is
Well,
never a good thing.
I think it just kind of went that direction.
Yeah,
I mean, because no one obviously wants to end up in a big fight or whatever, unless they're trying to get
yeah,
votes on them.
yeah.
But
Well, this was also like the first like fight in modern Survivor. Like normally whenever there's a fight, that's just like we don't need to talk about it. We like they just kind of like try to end the situation as quick as possible. But this was like a straight up like, hey, this is going on. This is what's
I
happening,
mean,
everyone.
argument can be made for Shannon Deshawn. They were kind of button heads for a while, and I think there was a point where it
Yeah,
didn't
but
get too crazy.
they tried to like do it between them. Like they would get
Yeah,
into it there and then get upset as they like leave. But we never got like a blow up. Like it's like
yeah,
something that totally goes like it where everyone is basically seeing the mess that's being made between the two players.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, I am, and I don't think that was for show or anything either.
Yeah,
Maybe he was trying to do camp dam. I wouldn't say damage control because like Owen's objective was to get rid of James.
yeah,
That's who made the most sense on that tribe to get rid of. Um, because of the knowledge is power and also just his position in the game. Um, so yeah, it kind of made sense to get rid of him.
yeah.
From like
He
pretty
also
much
got the
everyone's
Godfather
gameplay
edits.
except for Carla.
Yeah, he James also got the Godfather edit. I've been very like whenever you see it, they're either going this episode or next episode. They're either building up to it or it's happening that episode.
Yeah,
So yet again, the Godfather curse has struck again with taking out James.
he just nah. Well, I feel like with his elimination, I also got to say he was very vocal in his and me because I use cool beans a lot. The fact when that's what he says after his torch was snuffed, cool beans. Like
uh,
I couldn't help but like smile a little because like, that's what I say.
Yeah, he had such an awkward, I felt, like leave to go to Jeff pretty much. He went back and was like, I guess it's a show of respect, and they're like, it is. And he was like, well, let's see how you guys do without me. And it's like
I mean,
and then
maybe it was
he had this most like cocky like swagger walk as he's going to the jury bench too, which I was just like, okay, man, come on.
he readjusted his buff and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, with James's voice, because that's something we kind of have to bring up. There was the kind of like rasp or almost, I don't want to
Mhm.
say robotic, but the mics kind of picked him up in a way where it did sound like a technical difficulty in some regards.
Yeah, well, I saw a comment from a vocal like instructor, like someone who does this for like a living.
Yeah,
And yeah, apparently, yeah, he had like some kind of vocal almost like I forgot the exact thing. But yeah, it's some kind of like bacterial kind of thing almost that
yeah.
actually causes that. And so he must have been in like crazy amounts of pain while he's actually out there. Like that's what the person said was because it's very painful to have your voice sound like that.
I want to imagine.
Yeah.
Though I will say it's like it makes me not intrigued because obviously, but it like when it goes to the confessionals, his audio is clear.
Mhm.
So part of me wonders if they filmed that after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. We've had raspy voices like that before. Like a
I know
like
Mike Holloway,
I was about to say Mike Holloway and his ever changing voice.
I know.
Uh,
It did remind me of Mike Holloway a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel James, his time on the show, it was a little brief in the
Mhm.
sense of like, I feel like we didn't really get to see too much of him in the beginning. Even when the focus was on Coco, it was primarily on Carla.
Yeah, Carla
Um,
got all the Coco screen time pretty much, and the
yeah,
other Coco members would get a confessional here or
hints.
there.
Yeah.
Like, so
Well,
it
she's
kind of
getting
makes
a lot
sense.
more
Yeah, I
because
was
this
gonna
episode,
say,
two of them went. So like it's her and Cassidy. So
yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense now looking at it, because there's only two Coco members left in the game.
yeah.
And based off of that, also, it almost makes me think Cassidy might be going home in like next two votes too. I think that could make some sense here. Um,
I feel like Cassidy could be, they say she's a threat, or she
uh,
said she's a threat. Other than the fact that she was a number and majority in like what was the seven, I haven't really. I mean, I'm guessing because I'm looking at everyone. Obviously, I'm not there. She was a part of the Coco, and I get that. But like, I never really saw her too much as a threat. Now, could that awaken at some point during this later half of the game? Potentially, we've seen it happen before, but I feel like with Carla and stuff, I feel like out of everyone from Coco, she is like the one that is, running this whole show.
yeah. I mean, even with someone like an Erica, for instance, like they still set up her storyline
Yeah.
by now, like it was already clearly like what was going to happen. I still don't feel like I fully understand Cassidy's storyline, which would
I
be
mean,
really hard to
we got a
sell.
little bit of it this episode where it was like, she's playing for, her siblings and her older sister who passed away a couple years ago. So we got a little, I would say, insight into her, story and stuff.
Yeah,
But
I feel like her story was now just completely all about the Ryan like thing. I feel like that's kind of been her thing for
main
like the
objective.
season, and now that that is completed, like her main objective of the season has been completed. I think she's going to be almost like a background character for a little bit, and then just get taken out.
I think I just look at the threats that are left, and I
Yeah.
don't see her going out unless it's. I really don't see her going out unless it's just she's on the wrong side of like numbers when it comes to be like all these people just want to get to the end and Cassie's just not there.
Yeah.
Um,
I also
I
think it's crazy that she votes out Ryan and was so adamant to get rid of Ryan when he was probably one of the few people she really beats in the end, she could have beat if she goes to the end with Ryan and Gabler, like that is a final three that she should have been trying to get. But by taking out Ryan here, you're now really putting yourself in a situation where you're guaranteed to be having to sit next to one of these really big threats now.
Well, I guess because we are at the halfway point, it is, I wouldn't say we do kind of see it's definitely one of these eight who is winning, obviously. It's
Mhm.
like, but it's like the win conditions is a bit more, I don't want to say clear, but you can kind of like theorize a little bit more with certainty
Mhm.
what things will be like. Um, because yeah, I feel like Cassidy's win condition is slim. Honestly, just looking at who is left on both sides, um, it could be a thing where if Owen's jury management was really bad with James and that has a ripple effect, maybe it is an Owen Cassidy Gabler thing. I can potentially see her. I'd say that's her best win condition.
Mhm.
Um, but it really depends on how Owen plays the rest of the game. I won't even say Gabler. I mean,
Mhm.
we don't know. He's not voted out yet, and people are kind of like going to him for votes.
Yeah.
He is like a
Well,
number.
yeah, so what I got from this episode was the moment where Cody and Jesse get Gabler to vote with them because they wanted to build trust with him. I think this
Yeah,
was such a good move for them because I think they have now claimed Gabler as their goat. I think that was the whole purpose of this vote for the two of them, was to basically get him to be their third, who they can drag to the end and sit
yeah.
there.
I'd say Gabler, his win condition is probably the lowest.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying like I'm talking about when
Mhm.
they get to the end
Yeah.
because like obviously big targets and stuff. I don't think unless they are really really good at this game because people are more aware of like the two biggest um I'd say visually the two people that are like running the show and stuff. And they said in the preview is Jesse and Cody, and there's a big argument for that
Mhm.
because they've been kind of like focal points with the direction of the game, like with the Dwight elimination.
Yeah.
You know, they were a part of the seven, and this elimination, it was kind of like in their hands what they wanted to do.
Mhm.
Um, so I'd say one of them gets knocked out, whether it's Jesse or Cody.
I think we're
Um,
getting an idol play next episode. I
I
think
think
I think
so.
they're gonna play an idol successfully. Now, if they are they gonna survive after that, I don't know. But I do think both of them will survive one more episode. And then they could be in some trouble, I think.
Yeah. Um, Owen, he has to really boost up his end game. I will say,
Yeah.
like, or this half until the end game. Um, he's starting to get some power shift. I mean, if you get two members out of the big alliance and that's already fractured, you can find ways. So there's wiggle room.
Mhm.
Noelle, I'm saying if she makes it to the end, I still feel like she is still a big target within I would say the underdog kind of like people.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I could see her honestly getting targeted pretty soon just because of honestly her story still. I think that
yeah,
that's still something that could almost even put the Jesse and Carla like feud to the side for a second, because they can't just be feuding forever and then suddenly Noel is sitting here at Final Four and
yeah.
can make it to the end.
I feel like if no if Noel goes, it's probably around I'd say that 7 to 5 mark.
Mhm.
That's just like what I'm kind of guessing because I don't think it's next episode because I feel like they are trying to like really completely eradicate the rest of like the bonds of the seven and
Mhm.
then just kind of like do their own thing.
Uh,
Um, I feel like we're losing a big fish or this Carla Jesse Cody war.
yeah,
Some
I think
we're gonna lose collateral damage somewhere.
yeah, I think it might be Sammy
I was
actually.
about to say.
because he's clearly been looking like he's trying to become Carla's like
Number
next.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think that they might not want to go for Carla and maybe try to weaken her even more, like really just make it so that she has nowhere to go when they finally do decide to take her out.
Yeah.
And I think Sammy is now kind of positioned himself there. You're also taking out another Baka member, so that way Vessi, the three Vessi members have the most members at that point too. So I
Yeah.
think that there are quite a few ways that Sammy could be in trouble next week.
I do. Especially because like, does Carla side with Sammy after that? Because like, just how the votes went and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I gotta say, did what's her face? Did Noelle know about Carla's idol? Because like
It seems based off of what everyone is saying, no one in the game knows about Carla's idol.
I think because obviously they knew about the knowledge is power and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, and it was kind of because like, it is a thing of like, oh, they did use the Owen thing. And like
yeah.
I can see how using an advantage on someone else, part of your alliance, can assure someone not to play a regular idol on whoever your target is, because like why would they do that when they just burned a advantage on someone else?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's like because like the knowledge and power can only be activated before the try or before the votes are read, right?
Um, it, I'm not sure if you can do it before you vote. I imagine you could, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can do it before you vote because you got to steal like the steal votes, like you then be able to have to use it.
yeah. So I guess it's a thing of like better to like use it now in a way in some capacity than to just have it snatched.
Yeah.
But I feel like I mean, what are your thoughts? Because I think in some ways it was a good move.
Yeah. So here, my thoughts basically are they Survivor really wanted to frame this move as a good move.
Yeah.
But I don't really think it was unnecessary. I guess I'll say that. I think that they could have easily still gotten the votes. I think James was in a very comfortable position. All you had to do was comfort him a little bit, and he's gonna be like, that's fine. And yeah, because once you're thinking that you're in charge, and that you got Carla and Sammy, I think for him, if he thinks that those two are solid, there's no like
Well,
he's not going to think about using his knowledge as power here.
well, I mean, like, there's always that thing of like, because I feel like with Carla, because Sammy did come up to Carla and was like, "Hey, should we get rid of, James?" And she
Uh-huh.
was like kind of very against that. So like, that would set alarms. Would Carla play it on her, number one and stuff? I mean, it's a possibility. We
Mhm.
won't know. Well, we won't know now,
Yeah.
but it's like, I guess like in the sense of like you don't want to assume that someone there's always the possibility that one of them also has an extra advantage.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know how much of that played into Noel's strategy or, Noel's, Owens, and the Sammy's like strategy to get that vote out,
Mhm.
but it is something where it makes sense in some regards.
Yeah, I think that there's like some merit to it. I just overall think that you could have easily done this, still kept your steel votes for a tribal down the road. One that she will I think will definitely need in that stretch that we're about to come up here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think overall this was it felt like more just like let me just use it. So it's hard too also because like I did a poll for our community section about will an advantage or idol be played correctly this season. Technically this is it, but also like it's muddy for me because I'm like, well,
Exactly.
like is this technically playing it correctly? Because you didn't need to do this. You could
I,
have still done it without it.
I mean, if it's a thing where because Carla did have an idol and stuff, because I can see flushing that out to make someone believe it to not play their idol. Now, we like I said, we don't know if they knew or considered it because it was more so of gaining more so of like gaining James's kind of like security as well as like, making sure he doesn't seal it and it just never gets played at all. And while I'm talking, didn't wasn't it a 4-1 vote against James?
Yeah,
So I mean, Carla, did go with everything in the end. So like, I guess like, yeah, it didn't really play off well because
yeah,
like Carla went with the numbers, which I think kind of smart on her part.
yeah. I think it's good for her to take out James here actually,
Yeah,
because clearly the perception on the island was James was the one kind of calling the shots and he was the one in control. Like whenever someone gives someone the Godfather, that means that that person's trying to take all credit for like things. People are kind of giving them way more credit than maybe they even should. And Carla, has been playing kind of more in the shadows. Like people haven't
yeah.
seen her as the thing as much. So I think taking out James here can really let her be able to take credit for her game moving forward.
That makes sense because as a when you are a sleeper threat and stuff, it's like when do you start to turn it on? Because like near the end and stuff, yeah, you can kind of like piggyback off of some moves that you're if you're the sleeper threat, you need like a public figure to
Yeah.
kind of be the one where people target.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is my Ryan sign language for target. I don't know how I came up with it. I guess it's like shooting arrows. Uh, but so uh it's like I don't know. I feel like it might have been it made sense with just how everything was formatted to get rid of James here.
Mhm.
I would have kept him around a little bit longer, in my opinion. If it wasn't the, 5-5 split and stuff like that, where it was two separate tribal councils, I don't know.
Mhm.
I feel like around eight or something would have been a better time to kind of like get rid of him. But
Uh,
because the show is formatted the way it's formatted, I know it makes sense to get rid of him now, given how it is.
Yeah, so I also mentioned last week that Jesse and Carla each had their own kind of meat shield, like person who's in the front and center of everything. And I pretty much said and of course that's it was Carla with James, Jesse with Cody. And I was pretty much like I think whoever is going to lose their meat shield first is going to be in the most trouble moving forward. I still think there is some case to that. We're gonna have to see how next week goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna really have to see how Carla is able to kind of get her forces together to make the move against Jesse and Cody. Or if Jesse and Cody are going to be able to do some idle shenanigans this episode and maybe the episode after that, and if they're kind of able to maneuver their way through that way. But yeah, right now, Jesse still has his meat shield. I think they're gonna probably target Cody before Jesse. Um, I think I think he's still perceived as like the face of that group.
Yeah.
So I think we're more likely to see Cody being targeted first over Jesse.
Yeah. I'd say the one way where Jesse might get targeted prior is kind of like if Cody wins another immunity,
Yeah.
they're like, all right, let's weaken or hurt his game a little bit.
Yeah. Which could be
Um,
good if Cody wins this next immunity and they target Jesse because Jesse's got an idol. It'll be very clear. He just have to think, do I play it for Cody or me? Like he can just be like, okay, I'll just play it for me.
does Cody know that Jesse has an idol?
I don't think so. I mean, it does seem like that's the only secret idol in the game. Or
Yeah.
although Carla has a secret idol, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
because
guess
yeah.
it, because I'm like, Jesse, with how he got it, was kind of like a cold move. I wonder if he's cold enough to do
Mhm,
that to his number one, where he's able to get his number one to play the idol for him
mhm.
and stuff. I mean, like it's a great move, and then you guarantee
Yeah.
yourself like two idol plays on yourself. That's
Mhm.
good for like two tribal councils.
Get yourself to like final six right now if you wanted.
Well, I mean, it's all dependent on where the numbers go, stuff like that. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does look like we're about to get a showdown. So.
yeah, so it's something where it's like, huh, would he, get when he already has an idol? I guess it's a different story if Jesse plays his idol, and then like if Cody and Jesse like team up and think, hey, is it more beneficial to have it on me, so we have a path moving forward or stuff like that. Um, Argument can be made because like when we're getting down to this eight, the numbers and stuff, it's tougher to like split votes against people
Mhm,
because like if it's you can do like a 3-3, but after that it's like when you have seven people left, there's a 3-2, and
mhm,
since they're a unit of two, if they guess right on who the three votes are going for, you can tie it up with someone and then potentially get things moving forward in that way. I mean, I think if it's like a 3-2-2, it's a little tricky because
mhm,
like I feel like the target just automatically goes to either Jesse or Cody, whichever one gets the two votes that tied.
mhm,
I don't know. I would say well, I mean, it's more playable than, just getting eliminated outright.
mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay. What else is there to talk about of the episode? There's the immunity challenge. We haven't talked too much about the actual immunity challenge itself.
Um, the ball one was, I will say it was because Carla did like, mess up her hand a little bit and stuff.
Mhm.
It was interesting to see her win that one.
No,
Like, especially when I like how they were like, "Come on, big boys" and stuff like that, and she's like, "What about big
big
girls,
girls.
huh?" Uh, yeah, that was kind of like a fun little moment.
Mhm.
I feel
Yeah,
like it was cool that she did win one. And then we had the Ryan Cody showdown that kind of happened on the other side.
yeah.
Um,
I will say I was really hoping that Carla's side was the last one to go to tribal just because like, that was the tribal that's most exciting, at least to
yeah,
me. So it does make that second tribal almost feel kind of a bit like, oh, okay,
tagged
well,
on.
yeah, it felt more like an opener than a closer, you know.
Well, I mean, yeah, it makes sense because just look at what we've talked about this episode. It's primarily been about James and Carla,
Yeah.
and kind of like how that
Though,
played out.
if they go last and they see Ryan over on the jury bench, that probably would have sent so many red flags to James that
Yeah,
he could have been like, I'm playing this. I'm playing the knowledge of power. No, give me that.
yeah, because like at that point he could steal a vote, and maybe then Carla changes her mind and wants to keep James around, but like I don't know because like if everyone's against you and you have to steal a vote, that's two out of the five votes, and that's not the majority. I mean, like the steal a vote really is
Yeah.
best if
But
there's
if
like
yeah,
a
I will say I think if James takes the steal vote, I think Carla votes with him. I
yeah,
think Carla would have flipped her vote and not voted against James. I think she would have been like, okay, he can now survive this vote. I'll let him survive the votes.
yeah, and then they could get rid of Owen. I feel like Owen would have obviously been the bigger thing,
Yeah.
or do you get rid of Sammy because like he's more of a sleeper threat that tried to go against James?
It would probably be Owen. I'd imagine they
Yeah,
wouldn't have a lot of time to like make a big decision like that, and Carla would have probably preferred Sammy still, so she wouldn't have been willing to then make her vote flip
yeah,
over. but I think if it was Owen, I think she would have been fine making the flip, and it would have been like already like clearly James is voting Owen. She can just kind of change her vote over there.
Yeah. I guess because like I'm thinking in the sense of like sometimes the easiest move is obviously the best move, but I
Mhm.
feel like Owen has been like, especially with Janine gone. Well, I mean, like if Owen didn't win immunity, he would have went home last episode.
Um,
Well, at the episode prior to this one. So, like his target, like he's the easy target for like, the underdog side.
mhm.
Because it's like, oh, Owen's causing problems, he and stuff like that. He's on the bottom and he's a bit more of a threat. Um, than like let's say Gabler, who and I don't know. I feel Noelle has threat levels. It's more like strategic stuff like that. She hasn't won a individual challenge yet.
Mhm.
It's possible, but like it's really dependent on what the challenge is.
Yeah.
So we'll see moving forward because like well then again that for their little preview they threw out a lot of names,
Mhm.
so we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. I'm guessing we're just gonna get a very chaotic episode next week, with a lot going on, and potential even last minute decisions before Tribal is gonna maybe decide who goes home next week. Who
Will we see
knows?
any whispering?
I don't know. We haven't gotten any whispering this season.
No, I know. This was something I saw in the Facebook group that I'm in about the whispering and stuff. We haven't really seen that.
I wonder if Jeff came into the season saying, "Hey guys, cool it. You cannot get up every tribal council."
I don't think, well, I don't think any of the votes really warranted it.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like the whispering makes sense in the sense of like, okay, we're switching up targets. There's a lot of like crazy gameplay going on. This time,
Yeah.
this time around, I don't because it's been kind of like a smaller like pass up to this point, and then
Mhm.
with the two, like with the mergatory and like the merge things we've gotten prior up until this point, I feel like all the alliances were pretty set in what they wanted to do, and there was no need to switch the target.
Yeah, well, a lot of times also, I think in like the recent time like seasons, it's been whenever one person is clearly going home, when that person knows that they're going home, they've been kind of told they can make Hail Mary plays at Tribal now. And so you often see the person who is clearly in trouble trying to create discourse and
Yeah,
paranoia among everyone, and it's more so that than actually changing any votes that ends up happening. It's just
yeah,
like trying to make people not sure about what's really happening, and it's usually the person on the bottom. This season so far, like there has been like no shot in the darks have been played.
yeah,
It seems like the social contract, and that's what a lot of the pre like exit interviews has been, is that anyone who is showing any signs of paranoia goes home. If you show
yeah,
paranoia, you go home. If you aren't trusting your alliance, you go home. So if you get up in front of everyone and start whispering in this season's social contract, that means you go home.
yeah. The only person that was kind of spared from that was Cassidy.
Yeah.
Um, I guess because they didn't want to like lose another big number prior to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no whispering. Is there anything else on this episode? Um,
Um,
because I feel like because it's split up, we cover a lot more ground.
yeah. Yeah.
Faster.
I think that was pretty much everything, all the major points here.
Yeah,
I can do a quick little confessional count here.
yeah. This is
Um,
always interesting.
yeah, so we still have Cody and Jesse as the front runners, 39 and 35. Then Carla at in third place with 31. Sammy in fourth place with 28, and then
All
Gaylor
your
in
peeps.
fifth place with 27. Yeah. And Noelle, interestingly enough, only had one confessional this last episode.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's currently the lowest confessional giver on the
Oh,
season.
so Cassidy is above her.
Yeah, Cassidy's got 20 and Noelle's got 17.
Huh. All right. Well, I mean, we all kind of know, like we already discussed, like the winner's equity and stuff like that, who has
Mhm,
the most potential. I think it's one of the things where, especially with Carla, everyone kind of like there is a lot of people that were thinking preseason stuff it was going to be Carla who wins this.
mhm,
Watching this season makes me believe it. I'd say she has like a 70% chance. I
mhm,
know me personally, I was like, oh, because she is such a prominent she had that one little villain thing in the trailer before any of the preseason stuff really happened
mhm,
and all that stuff. I was like, oh, maybe she might be targeted around like, around this point. She could be targeted next episode.
mhm.
Um, but we'll see. I still think moving forward, I think Carla has the best shot of winning this game.
Yeah, I think next episode is going to be the breaking point for either Carla or Jesse. I think we're gonna see which way the cards are going to end up lying. I think it will be a lot more clear next week which one of those two is going to be the one to take it home. So yeah. I also have some interesting news here. I recently managed to get my mom to watch the premiere episode of Survivor 43.
Oh yeah.
So I got to
What
see
was her
her opinion on it. Um, well, you know how we always talk about how we don't like the backstories and everything.
she loves him?
So yeah, that's her favorite parts.
It's
Yeah,
that it's that sentimental part. I have my sentimental parts as well, so like I kind of get it. So aha.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's something I thought was funny. But it was fun to see the episode again after now seeing as much as what we have. It you know they have I think it was even James making a line about how Carla might be a villain almost as she's getting into the boats to go
Yeah.
away, which ends up never really seeing fruition. That they kind of gave her the setup to be the villain and then just don't do it.
No. I mean, I think, sometimes they'll say things in the moment to like because it makes sense in the episode, but
Mhm,
overall doesn't. In the sense of like in the overarching series, it doesn't make sense, but in the episode, in the moment, it does.
mhm,
And sometimes I guess that's one of the things like rewatching that you always kind of like or you kind of look at. Personally, I haven't. Actually, that's not true. I know for Blood versus Water, when that came out, I was like rewatching episodes as it was on of like that season.
mhm,
So like I've never really done that since then. And I think well back then I never really paid attention to like the narrative and stuff like that. And like I have more of a
mhm,
understanding and like analysis of like storylines and stuff than I
mhm.
did way back when.
Uh,
So I guess like when you do rewatch seasons, I've watched every season at least twice except for 41 onwards because they're recent.
mhm,
Um, so like to look back and stuff and kind of like see what things have kind of been set up is always interesting because you never because it's like you see either foreshadow or like, oh, well, this kind of happened or stuff like that, or this is how it was in the beginning, but now it's like
mhm.
totally different. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Cool, cool. Okay, do we want to just go on to our MVPs and LVPs of the episode?
Yeah. You can go first. I'm still kind of like there wasn't like a OMG moment for me to do
Yeah.
MVP because I feel
Yeah.
like there wasn't any standouts. There was good moves, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't say there was any like standouts in my opinion.
Yeah. it's hard to say which one really deserves it here. So I guess I'm going to kind of give like a dual award here. I am going to give it to Cody and Jesse for basically being able to rope in Gabler into this
Yeah,
votes, um, making a move against someone who's going to be the big threat moving forward as well. So I think that's just a positive for their game. Um,
yeah,
and I'll just give it to Cody because he won immunity too. So
yeah.
we'll just call this a Cody MVP for me.
After talking with everything, and just so we have more than one, because like I said, there was no like true standout to me.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say Carla for the sense, yes, she also won immunity,
Yeah,
with a broken hand.
yeah,
And also like kind of like what you were saying, where, you know, it could have been a thing where she could have sided with James, even if she really expected for him to go home, and like it would have been a 2-3.
mhm.
But having the social awareness and understanding, yeah, getting rid of like the figurehead now made the most sense and stuff moving forward. Um, yeah, I think I'll give it to her in that sense.
Yeah,
Like obviously her and Cody both have racked up a lot, in my opinion,
yeah,
of the MVPs, but you do that when you're a good player.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, those are our MVPs, LVPs. I'm going to give it to Owen for his fight with James. Um
Yeah.
if Owen went home, I probably would have then given it to James for this whole thing as well. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty much just giving it to now the person still in the game here, because yeah, I think it was just not a good look to have on the season. So
Yeah, I agree. That's why I gave him a half step in the right direction because of that little thing
yeah,
right there. It was a little messy.
yeah.
Um, dang, I wish Baka Tribe was called Vessi. That way I could do the, me, I like my wordplay.
Yeah,
Um,
Vessi's messy. But uh, but
Messy,
uh,
Vessi.
but Vessi's been the one of the front runners of the strategies talks.
Yeah, yeah. Even like Noel and stuff has been like making moves, and I wouldn't say is the leader of kind of like the underdog castaways, but she's definitely I would say she has been targeted before, like during just being like as a social threat and stuff. So I feel like between her and Owen is definitely getting more screen time,
Yeah.
but I feel like she is a bit more level headed. And as a leader, you kind of seek that out.
Mhm.
So like, and if we look at the other underdogs, because like I wouldn't consider Sammy an underdog because like he will go with the votes and
Yeah,
like he is
he's
making
voted
really,
correctly every time.
yeah. So I'd say out of the three underdogs, and they kind of like, I'd say there's even only just two at this point,
Mhm.
and that is Noel and Owen.
Yeah,
But like Noel is kind of like playing a bit more of a cleaner game than Owen.
yeah, yeah.
So
Gabler kind of should be there too, but I think he's just being chosen as the goat for whoever
yeah, so
side.
it's like it's tough to say he's on the bottom if they're bringing him along as a goat.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, so LVP, I guess I'll go to the other side for this. I know probably Ryan. I
yeah.
feel like his game could have been a little bit, um, a little bit better and how he handled things. And I think like it never occurred to him to like lose the tunnel vision on Cassidy and maybe go for someone else on that tribe.
Mhm.
Um,
It seemed like he really thought that he was. I don't think it ever crossed his mind that he was not a great strategic player on the season. I think he
yeah,
really thought that he was still someone who was going to be making these big strategic mastermind like plays, but like they just he was not meant for that. Like it
well, I mean,
was,
like that's the thing. Perception's reality.
yeah,
Like
and
there are
it's
some people when they go out there, you know, they know the moves they make and they know the narrative that's in their head.
yeah,
But whether or not that narrative is not only accurate, but the one they show in the show is a totally different story.
you're saying everything that is correct, but also for someone to actively just not be a part of the last 3 hours of the conversation last week on a merge boot
Yeah,
to go fish. You can't really consider that in the same ballpark.
I know. I guess it's more so of like, I wouldn't say give credit where credit's due, but more of like, well, I mean, there is that in that sense of like why some people, why some people think, oh yeah, I'm playing such a great game. I think, well, part of that is lack of social awareness.
Mhm.
Or I wouldn't even say that because sometimes people are just really good at hiding shit from you. Like I've been
Yeah.
watching Big Brother 23 and stuff. And like one of the things about Big Brother is like, oh, if you feel like you're not going home this week, you go home, and stuff like that. Kind of similar to Survivor.
Mhm.
But it's like, for so many people, like, thinking they have like a good standing in this game or good standing with someone else. And to like, in their head they think they're safe because like, oh, I have faith in my alliance, I'm playing a superior game. That's not always the case, but I don't know, like, I'm a paranoid person,
Mhm.
very paranoid. uh so like, I know, like, I'm going, if I ever go on either show, because I auditioned for both. CBS, you're
Mhm.
watching. uh so like, I know I'm gonna be hella paranoid going out there, so I'm never gonna feel safe. But I can understand where if people feel like, oh, even if they had like a victory of like, oh, I know something, or oh, I think I have a good standing with someone else. Thing is, you never know the conversations that are happening behind your back.
Mhm.
So yeah. um so I can see where people would create that narrative in their head.
Mhm.
um I'm not like defending Ryan or anything like that. I understand I'm giving him the LVP,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, like, I guess because we were like, I guess I'm saying like, giving an explanation why people think that in the
Okay.
show, or any show where blindsides and it's a game of trust or numbers and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's it for Ryan and James. They go out back to back. Another case of the double elimination takes out people connected to each other.
Yeah.
It's there's a few times where it doesn't happen like that, but I would say it has like an 80% chance of that happening. So yet again, coming up here. And yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens next week. I really do think that next week is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for
Oh yeah,
either
definitely.
Carla or Jesse. Even if neither of them go home, or they don't, or like Jesse doesn't even lose Cody, I think we're gonna see what side the numbers are really gonna fall onto.
Yeah. I
And
I still
probably
believe we're losing a big fish next episode.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. I think I do think that there's a chance for like an idle play that takes out like a Cassidy. Um,
Or Sammy.
yeah, or
Um,
Sammy. I can see it. I think that that's very possible. Next week is something like that.
mhm,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's going to do it. I guess for this episode. Do you have any last closing remarks?
Um, no, I feel like we discussed everything in a lot of detail and everything moving forward. So yeah, hope you guys have an awesome week. Our next episode will be on Thanksgiving, right? Uh,
Yeah, yeah. It's a Thanksgiving episode.
yeah. So check out for that if you're, if you're cooking and you want to listen to us while you, do meal prep or not meal prep, well, kitchen prep or whatever, or all the stuff is, cooking and whatnot, and you have like a 45 to an hour to kill. Yeah. We'll be in
Exactly.
your ear, passing the time
Yeah.
while
And if you
the
haven't
cook.
watched our Brant Steel that just came out a couple of days ago,
That was a
champions
fun one.
versus contenders versus pretenders. we got a great winner. We got a great season villain.
We have great
Overall,
reaction from me.
yeah. Great reaction from Ryan, and overall, I think a good final six for our Brant Steele return here.
Yeah. All righty. Well, if that's it for everyone, hope you guys have an amazing week, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Have a good one.
Peace.